Right. What's happening, YouTube? I just wanted to just make this video just in regards to the Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao fight that's coming up in about a month's time, May the 2nd, 2015. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. And I thought it was about time I made my video. I don't make many videos, as you guys know. I just, making videos is not really my thing, I'll be honest with you. But, rather than me going to every single person's comment section and commenting and saying, this is what I think, I thought, let me just put it down on a video so it's documented, so there's no sort of, doubts or anything like that in terms of what I think and how I feel in regards to this particular fight. Now, as I said, in terms of everybody else's video, I've gone through so many videos. I've watched so many people's predictions. I've watched people's thoughts. I enjoy watching a lot of videos in terms of, how people think, in terms of boxing, in terms of, life, things like that. Just so many people out there, so many guys online who I'm subscribed to. Obviously, they know who they are. I comment regularly on a lot of people's videos. It's obviously, I like commenting. For me personally, I like commenting. I mean, some guys like making videos. Obviously, they make a living off this thing. But hey, that's a different video. I just wanted to stick to obviously the point in terms of the Manny Pacquiao and Floyd, and in terms of boxing and things like that. But obviously, to the guys who I comment on their videos, obviously, I just want to acknowledge the fact that those who have actually stuck by this particular fight over the last 5 to 6 years, we're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Those who have supported one side or the other. Funny enough, obviously, since I got to YouTube, I've always been a Mayweather fan. Always, that's not even up for discussion. Then obviously these are the guys who supported Manny Pacquiao. We used to call them the Pactads. I mean, we obviously still call them Pactads. That's not going to change. There are some of the moronic idiots out there. But lately, there's been some interesting guys who are Manny Pacquiao fans, fans of Pacquiao, who actually have some kind of common sense. So they are rare, but they're out there. So for those guys who actually you can have a conversation with, without actually going into some kind of a sexual, strange, calling you Flomo, all this bullshit. I always like to sexualize things. These assholes. I kind of like put them aside because I laugh now. I've just decided a long time ago not to sort of go into the full-on battles that I used to do like in 2009 when these morons were out there. Always trying to antagonize you into some kind of a, I don't know what they think. I don't know, but anyways, for me, the fight itself, I personally don't actually see this fight being competitive. I don't, and I'll be honest with you guys, I don't. I mean, the more I think about it, and people will go, oh, how can you not think this guy's, Manny Pacquiao? How can you not give him his props? And how can you not rate him? Well, I'm sorry. I look at it. I look at the guy. I look at the way he fights. I look at, just in terms of boxing, technique, things like that. And I'm sorry, I just don't see why anyone can actually think that he could potentially cause Floyd Mayweather problems in the fight. I honestly don't see it. I don't see it. I mean, and the way I gauge fights itself, I mean, there's 3 ways I actually gauge fights. Now, this is my opinion. This is not scientifically proven for those who are going to come in and say, well, how can you think this way? How can you think that way? This is just my opinion. The three aspects I actually look at, and that doesn't even come into skill. Skill doesn't even come into it, because that's something that's skill subjective. But everything's in terms of boxing can be subjective. So it's entirely up to you. But if you want to look at someone's skill, I mean, they say styles make fights. I don't always look at it that way. I understand why that's said, and that makes perfect sense. But I don't always. That's not what I look at. What I look at specifically, I look at 3 things. The 3 things I look at is, in terms of fights, is advantages. I break advantages into three aspects, and that's the main advantages. Is the main crux of what I look at. What advantage does one guy have over the other? What advantages provide one particular individual the likelihood of winning a fight over the other? And those advantages I break into three categories. The first category I look at is physical. The physical advantages of between the two fighters. Which fighter has more physical advantage or physical advantages than the other? That's how I look at it. You can categorize different ways, aspects within physical, but for me, I physically look at someone and I decide, does that person have more of an advantage than the other? That's the first thing I look at. The second thing I look at is the mental advantage. Now, you can break down mental advantage into different ways. How can you gauge someone's mental capacity? How can you gauge that? Well, you can't, because you're not that individual. You can't. But I just look at little things in terms of how someone speaks, how someone conducts themselves, how someone approaches how they're going to tackle this particular obstacle in terms of their opponent. What are they saying? How do they carry themselves? How do they use their do they use their body language to sort of provide some kind of a mental edge? That sort of thing. But there's so many aspects to it that I'm not going to spend so long going through, but that's how I look at it. That's the second bit. I just look at the mental advantage. And the third aspect I look at is environmental advantage. Now, what does that mean? Environmental, that's bullshit. What does that mean? Environmental advantage is quite simple for me. Where they're going to fight. Okay, how many times has this guy fought in that area? Why are they fighting in that area? And I don't look at money and all that kind of stuff. I'm not looking at that in terms of how much money you can earn if you fight that side. No, I'm just looking at the fact, things like, when I say environment, I look at referees, I look at judges, I look at the ring, the area. Why are they fighting there? I mean, has this guy fought more times than this guy area than that? Has these people seen him more times in this area than the other guy? And who are they more likely to sway when it comes down to how they perceive an individual? Is it more likely that they're going to support one particular guy if this guy is doing certain things in the ring or doing a fight in a certain way? That sort of thing. Now, you might say that's ridiculous. That's got nothing to do with the fight. Well, I beg to differ, and the reason why I beg to differ is because that advantage is huge in sports. I mean, they say home field advantage is huge in sports. They say. And there is a huge amount of truth in it. If you're fighting, if you're playing, if you're shooting, or whatever you're doing, what kind of sporting activity you're doing, if you're comfortable in a specific area, and you've been comfortable in that area more often than your opponent, because you've been fighting there, or you've been doing whatever you're doing, in terms of your sporting activity in one particular area, you have that advantage. And it's a huge advantage. It is. You might differ. You might disagree because it's boxing and it's a 50-50 sport. But that's how I look at it. That's just my opinion. That's how I look at it. I just think when I look at all these three intangibles in terms of the advantages as a whole, as a blanket statement, I kind of look at one particular fighter having more often the advantage than the other. And when I start from that starting point, Floyd Mayweather has more of an advantage over Manny Pacquiao on just those three aspects alone. Now, and that kind of sways my the fact of this competitive fight. It kind of sways it a huge amount, and it makes me feel that Manny Pacquiao has more of a disadvantage in terms of trying to overcome those advantages more than Floyd has over. When he looks at Manny Pacquiao. Now, does that mean that Floyd Mayweather is more likely to win the fight based on that? You can make an argument either way. You can say no. Well, it's going to motivate Manny more because Manny knows that he has more of a disadvantage than Floyd. So he should have more of a motivation. That's a fair point. I'm not going to disagree with you there. But when I look at the likelihood of what is going to happen in this fight, just on those three advantages, first of all, and I'm not even putting skill-wise into it. I just think Manny has more of a difficult task in this particular fight than Floyd does. And this is what, makes me more likely, and it'll always make me more likely to back Floyd than it will do for Manny. It's not going to happen for Manny, I'm afraid. Now, obviously, when we come down to May 3rd, if Manny Pacquiao, beats Floyd Mayweather and everything is equal and there's no bullshit, because obviously boxing, anything can happen in terms of bullshit, something can happen. But if everything is equal and equilibrium and there's no crap, then Manny his achievement, if he did beat Floyd, will be greater than Floyd beating him, just based on those advantages. That's my honest truth. I just can't see any other way of putting it, I'm afraid. So that's just my 2 cents in the things, guys. So if you guys disagree, just let me know, and obviously put down your comments on how you actually feel that this fight is going to go. If you have any thoughts as to what I've said, and you obviously disagree, just let me know. Put it down in the comment section. Let me know, what you disagree about, and then we can chop it up and have a discussion about it. But that's just my thoughts anyway. But peace. I hope you you guys have a good day, and I'll try and make another video just before the fight. But have a good one.